Yeah. So let's get started here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. Today we have Kremchek over on screen left, and on screen right. I wish I could say we've got some awesome folks on, but things happened and got rescheduled for next week. So definitely be sure to tune in next week. I'll see you later, guys. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, definitely do tune in next week because we're going to have a really, really awesome show. There's going to be some awesome people on, I promise. People you're going to want to be able to talk to. So, um, yeah.
There is awesome people on, just not other awesome people.
Awesome people as in SOE people. So it'll be a good show. But anyway, speaking of SOE people, I've got one send off. Mellor, he's been on PlanetSide 2 since I believe early access, or maybe even before then. And he is now moving on. He is done with getting cooked in the lovely Southern California weather, and is returning back to Seattle, from what I understand. So,
Hey,
what was
all
that?
right.
Yeah.
Hey,
So,
Seattle. Right.
cheers to him. And we have, very interestingly, Bill Yates, who we just talked about recently on here. Um, he actually moved over to the PlanetSide 2 team. He is no longer on H1Z1. They're actually now looking for an art director. So, if you know somebody who is amazing with art things that wants to work on a zombie game, perhaps somebody that's working on another zombie project that wants to jump ship and work with a real team, um, yeah, I know. I don't know. There's definitely an opening there. I'm not talking about any specific project, and the one I am talking about, like, it would be the last one that anyone would guess. So, Bill Yates, cheers to you, my friend. You're clear of the infection because you're now a nanite zombie. Because that's what everybody in PlanetSide 2 is. They're nanite zombies. You die, you just get brought back somewhere else. You die, and a medic brings you up. Well, guess what? You're still just a nanite zombie. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. All right, man. It sounds really quiet with only one other person here.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Anyway, you're good. You can draw a stick, man. Nice. So let's
I,
What's up?
I can draw Stickman too. I'm pretty good.
But can you draw a stick man? Huh? All right.
I can
Anyway,
draw stick zombies.
nice.
So,
So we have some pretty interesting stuff to cover here. I want to kind of dive into the video first, the dev spotlight with Paul. So Paul Carrico, he's pretty awesome. He's a senior game designer on H1Z1. He's been at SOE for 14 years. He said that he works on the crafting system and everything that's data related. And I don't know if that means like everything that he's worked on at SOE ever or specifically H1Z1. I kind of wish I knew what else he was working on. But that's that's pretty cool. He's definitely been in there for a while at SOE. That's pretty awesome.
mm,
Um, and that, once again goes back to what I was saying. They built the H1Z1 team of people that are really veterans of SOE, as well as people who are very experienced with the ForgeLight engine and are basically ready to go with it, and we're essentially continuing what they were working on with PlanetSide 2. I don't really think many, if anybody, came from the um, what's it called, the EverQuest 2, EverQuest Next or Landmark teams over to H1Z1. I don't really think anybody came from DCUO because they'd be coming from Texas. So I don't. I'm pretty sure it was mostly I'm not going to say gutting the PlanetSide 2 team, but that a lot of talent moved from PlanetSide 2 over to H1Z1, and I'm guessing there are a lot of internal upgrades and people moving up in roles.
Yeah.
Carl Mundo, good question. It's not a puzzle platformer, but I do love H1Z1. So, the first question they ask is, how big, can the crafting system get? Are we going to be able to craft guns? And the answer to the first half of that double question is really deep. They really want people to be able to do a lot of cross combination of materials to be able to make a lot of different versions of a lot of the same things, pretty much in different ways, using um, I'm sure there's going to be like 50 different ways to make a bow eventually, and maybe some of them you craft a bow that's even got higher duration, and that's how you essentially make a higher quality item.
Yeah.
Or the stuff that you craft, it's already got damage duration because it was kind of janky to begin with. So that's going to be really an interesting aspect of how how things could potentially play out. But the main thing is, yeah, it is going to be a deep crafting system. It is no joke. They're really going to have a lot of stuff, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot of feedback from the community. All the survival junkies are going to be breathing down the neck. No, if you put this, and this together, you can make a radio. No, 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 no. If you put this, and this together, you can make a battery. That way you can take all of your regular batteries, cut the tops off, and do this, and this with it, and make a makeshift, explosive. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's there's probably all sorts of hilarious, awesome stuff that people who think about survival are able to do.
Right, definitely. And I think the coolest of that is that when you craft something, like you said in in the video, it could break or it could not fire correctly all the time. So if you're making something, it might not necessarily be as good as if you're finding something, but it will do in a pinch. So that will add a certain uh, extra survival to it. So you don't actually know if it's going to work until you get to that point where you need to use it. Did we lose Neural?
Whoops. So,
Oh.
so yes, pulled a 10, Lynn. I bet he's probably lurking around here. Mm. So, geez, now what was I gonna say?
Or what did you say on mute?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, there was another half of that question that we still didn't even talk about. Let's actually. Hmm. Was there anything else you want to talk about on that subject? It's just specifically on like the promise of a deep crafting variation system.
Well, I think that it's really cool because there are certain people, he mentioned like Smed or like myself, that really haven't gotten into crafting in any other game. Just because you have a recipe, you see what it's, how how you say, okay, I want to make a rusty axe. Well, if you've already,
You don't make a rusty axe, you'd make an axe. And if you have
all
to
right,
use
all right.
rusty metal to make it, then, that's what it
Well,
is.
you want to make an axe, and here's what it is, and you picked up a piece of paper, and now you know how to make it, and then you just make 38 of those until you can make the next thing, and that's really boring. I think that's really boring for a lot of people. Obviously, it's really boring for me. With this system, with the amount that I've gotten to play it, I was actually very intrigued by the crafting system, and I wanted to do more, and that was just as interesting as the rest of the game. So knowing that they're just going to continue to make that deeper and deeper, just what they had when we played it back at SOE Live was by far the best thing that I had ever played when it came to crafting, and that's coming from someone who hates crafting.
Well, crafting is, I think, one of the really fun parts of the game. And
Yeah.
what I was saying when I was on mute, and I guess I should probably bring it up, is the idea that if you've got, one thing that is, or two things you can make that take a very rare resource, and you've only got one of that resource, it's, well, do I make it this way, or is there possibly some other way I can invent a method to, make this other thing that I need, or one of the two items that doesn't
Right.
require this, particular rare resource? Or otherwise, is there a way that I can make another version of this resource so I'll have an extra of it?
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. When he talks about the rare resources, and you really have to make your choice, because you can think about what am I going to do now, or what I'm going to do long term. So right now, you might need to make a blanket or something like that. Long term, you might need a dew collector or something. So those are bad examples probably, but one thing is going to help you in the long run, and one thing is going to help you right now. So you really have to make sure that you're making the right choice there. Do I make a dew collector and a fire, or do I make a blanket?
I would say, yeah. Do I use this tarp to make a lean-to so that I can sit out the rain and stay dry, and not start to suffer ill effects because I'm already low on food and water and stamina? Or do I want to try to risk saving it and using it for basically using it as a dew collector, basically in speed mode, collecting the water and just fill up on water. Um, take a risk with it, drink a couple, um, fill them back up, have a good water supply, and hopefully find somewhere dry, like at least a tree somewhere to stay a little bit drier. But
Yeah, that's a better example.
yeah, there's a lot of different examples of that. I could imagine, use the metal to repair the motor for the vehicle, use the metal to make a new magazine so you can fight off the people that you're trying to escape.
Right.
That's more in like the, I guess, A Team MacGyver sort of range, but
I wonder
whatever.
in that. I wonder, going on that same thing where you are able to escape, or you're trying to escape. I wonder if there ever going to be something that where you can like put it together while you're running, instead of just sitting there in one place. So maybe you have a couple of the different components, but you haven't put them together yet. If you could like, while you're running, if you could start, taking them out of your bag and putting them together and such, that'd be interesting. Because that's something you would have to do. You're in some circumstances you're not just going to sit there while a zombie hits you twice, because you can be hit twice before you have to run.
Right. And I think that the other thing is the idea of the crafting process. There are some things that you could potentially step away from for a moment to, bash a zombie's head in and then turn back to it and not lose progress.
Right.
And I would like to actually have crafting surfaces like that instead of just crafting things in your hands. Like, it takes a lot
Yeah.
of talent to be one of those street vendors in, I think it's Thailand, where they'll cook all of the food without a cutting board. They just cut the things freely in their hand. It takes a lot of talent, especially not to cut yourself, but they do it. It's really awesome. It's a really cool process to watch, and apparently it comes out pretty good too. So, um, it takes a lot of effort to be able to do things without a working surface.
Right.
Something that I've already suggested previously is the idea of having containers that you can have your items in, that you're crafting from those containers instead of just from your backpack. But then I guess to add to that process, having a surface that you're actually working on, having some surfaces might make it quicker. It's like you could take 30 seconds to saw a log in half, or you could use a saw table and have it take 5 seconds.
And you could also go say that you would make higher quality stuff, or not necessarily, but you could make higher quality stuff if you have a table to craft on or something like that. And you brought up a good point where if you did have a table, you could put it down and put down whatever you're working on, and then kill something or whatever, and then pick up right where you left off, rather than having to start all over again.
Yeah, or having to wait out the process and get hit a couple times. Hey,
Right.
Senor Blanco. Senor Blanco and I did a panel on surviving H1Z1 at SOE Live. Cool
Oh,
dude.
nice.
Good to see you, buddy. Um, Yeah, I'm really excited to see what sort of stuff is going to go into the crafting system. Not only the, methods of crafting, but also the limitations, the advantages, ways that you can do things better. It's going to be a really nice sort of thing. And then I guess the other thing is the hammer for maintenance. I'm not sure if that's just for vehicles or structures. I think it's mostly for structures. It might be for weapons and such too. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, or you can just repair someone in the face. So then the other part of that question was about crafting guns, if we'll be able to craft guns. And the idea is that we should be able to craft crude makeshift sorts of things. I would hope later on, once we get more access to like advanced machinery, like a full-on machine shop, yeah, people would potentially be able to rebuild and start manufacturing weapons, but they would need good quality metal. I don't know if just metal scraps that you find out in the world would have the kind of quality standards you would need for something that's got very specific parameters to what it can be and how tough it needs to be. Um, I kind of cite the what happened back in communist China, where they had been demanded to produce a certain amount of steel per week for each neighborhood. So they were melting down like their silverware, they were melting down farm equipment and stuff like that. So not only did they not have the things they needed, they also ended up producing a bunch of crap metal. And a bunch of crap metal doesn't equal a little bit of good metal. So
Exactly.
it's definitely something where if you're actually making a firearm, you would need the metallurgy skills. You would need the materials. You would need a furnace to be able to melt it down. And I think that advanced sort of technology will potentially have access to later on. But in the scope of early access to going live, I don't even think they need to do that. That could be a post-live feature.
Yeah. I think when you're making crude weaponry, it would be pretty cool. And this is just kind of an idea that just popped. Like he said, obviously it's not going to be as durable. It may or may not work. But what if you go one further and say, well, you're going to actually, be putting yourself at risk if you decide to make this, because it might backfire and blow your hand off or something like that.
I think it's the sort of thing that it needs to be a skill thing, or not a skill thing, but a player controlled thing, something that's preventable. If you're trying to fire too many rounds too quickly from your makeshift potato cannon or whatever, it might get too hot or whatever. Or if it's a CO2 base, it might get too cold and start to crack. Um,
Right.
if you're using homemade rounds and you're firing single fire, and one of them fails to eject, you've got to clear it out, and you might have to clear it out of the barrel too, because if you shoot a bullet while there's a bullet in the barrel, it's a bad thing. It's a very bad thing. Bad for your weapon and bad for your health. So,
Yeah, I
best.
think having it skill driven is would definitely be best because random number generator can be one of the most annoying things in any game, and
Yeah.
especially a game where you're going to lose all your stuff if you mess up.
Yeah, I think they're trying to reduce that random number generator factor and really make it something where it's things that are knowable by the player. You just have to have paid attention enough to be able to understand why things happen the way they happen. But I
Right.
definitely think there'll be, it'll be fair systems, just they might be a little mean. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, crafting, and not just crafting guns. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of makeshift things we can craft, like morning wood, the nail bed.
Right.
Morning wood. I love it. That's probably about the dirtiest thing. That's the funniest thing. That's about the dirtiest thing that's probably gone into an SOE game, and Omid didn't even do it. He wasn't even on that project. So,
Right. It had to be Jimmy.
had to be Jimmy. But of
He's
course.
he's the craziest one that I know. So
He's hilarious. In the live streams, he's just, you built your house on top of my house, and he's crouched on the ground, and what a goofball.
Oh man, I love the watching them all interact and watching Paul like basically stick everybody up. He's like, you have a helmet? Drop the helmet. Drop it on the ground now. It's like it shows really how much fun that just even two people can have together if they're coming up on people because we're gonna have the in-game voice. You're just gonna walk up to me and drop it or I'll shoot you in the face. It's like how much fun is that gonna be?
It's gonna be pretty awesome. Rude
Like I'm gonna
now.
take it anyway.
Yeah. No, Rude now. I don't think you're gonna get kicked off for saying morning wood. Of course, you got to put that U in there, but yes.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, no, and that was the thing. I saw a lot of two-man teams. We saw a lot of two-man teams in that video.
Yeah,
It was really interesting. I could definitely see why. It's all you need is one person to kind of help cover your back, and
yeah,
that's really all you need for the most part.
yeah. It
Yeah,
makes it look. Being by yourself is a lot of fun, but it makes you want, or it looks like it makes it you want to play with other people at all times, or as much as you can, because it looks like a blast.
yeah. And I mean, with the vehicle, the way it is right now, I think the current ideal group size is 4 people.
Hmm.
It's small enough to be able to sneak around. Outfitting everybody with bows and melee weapons really quickly isn't going to be too difficult. Getting backpacks for everybody isn't going to be too difficult. But
Right.
mostly that you can all fit in a vehicle if you find one. So, you know, that helps a lot.
I loved also how I don't remember which one of them did it, but one of them that weren't on the stream came up and while they were hanging out at their hideout place, and he took their battery and their spark plugs, and he just dropped their battery out in the middle of or in the middle of their little section, but kept their spark plugs, so they couldn't drive their Jeep anymore. It's like that's awesome.
Was that wasn't Jimmy? Was that Clegg?
I think it was Clegg or Roberts.
Oh yeah, Chris Roberts.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. That's right. Jimmy Wisenhunt, Chris Roberts, Lochner, and Clegg actually dies. Clegg somehow survives initially. He gets run over by a vehicle, but while it appears the AI collisions with vehicles have improved, player collisions appear to be broken right now. So they were unsuccessfully able to run straight over Clegg and just murder him.
right.
It happens. Hey, Sony Shock, the man
Tony Schiavone.
himself.
Good timing.
Yes. All right. So, next question in that video was, um, are there basically will there be new recipes after early access with no information in the patch notes? And the answer was, yeah. I mean, there might be vague mention that there's 10 new recipes, but other than that, we don't get to know. It would be kind of a spoiler, and I like that. That's smart. Don't just reveal it in the patch notes. That makes it way too easy. People can just
Yeah,
skim the patch notes.
I loved hearing this one. I loved hearing that they weren't going to uh, be giving out all the recipes. They would just make us find them. It's one of the things. It's like it would be so easy to overlook why we wouldn't want it or why we would not want to see them. And it's as an MMO or as any game, it's like you want to get the information about what you have and put it out there. It would be so easy for them to just say, "Here's the information," but it seems like they really thought about uh, what would be the most fun. It's not fun if they just give us the information. We have to find it. I like that they put the thought into that to make that how it is.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the
It's
best way to go.
yeah,
It's good though to at least let us know that there are new recipes in the game. I would imagine most updates are going to have new recipes. There might get to a point where Smedley puts his foot down, Planet Side 2 style, and says, "No, we cannot go forward without more optimization." And then, everything's on hold until optimization is finished. Um, Controller option. I know they're gonna go for PS2, or excuse me, PS4 controller rather. Um, because it's eventually going to be on PS4, but I think that might be more of a long-term thing. I hope it's going to be something they do sooner. I can see how, as an accessibility thing, it would really help. Um, and I know Brass would bring down the hammer if they don't do things for accessibility, because that's definitely something SOE focuses on, and that's something she's definitely a champion for. So yeah,
Hmm.
Sony Shot gives us the answer there. Um, so eventually it'll get there. And, unlike PlanetSide 2, where it took a while for the PS4 port, I have a feeling that live for H1Z1 and then live on PS4 is probably going to be a much narrower period of time, a much shorter margin than PS4 or PS2 rather live launch and then porting to PS4. So, once it goes live, it won't be that long. And, it might even go live sooner, or it might go like a beta sort of thing for PS4. Who knows? I don't. Sony Shock might. Smedley probably does. Things change, though.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Early access. That's gonna be. So he was saying, or he was being asked rather, what his main focuses for early access are, and the answer was making sure we have all the things, and that makes sense. It's the game is meant to be, or the early access rather is meant to be a vertical slice of complete gameplay. So it's not 50 guns, some jerky, no water, you know some ammo, nowhere to sleep, no housing system. It's just a zombie killing simulator. There was no way that was going to be the case. We get a little bit of everything, a little of all the things we need to do some farming, make the things we need to build structures, maintain things, maintain our weapons, maintain our vehicles, stay alive, manage the infection, all of that sort of stuff. We're getting pretty much a little bit of everything we need. Fancier versions, we'll get those later. The bicycle, motorcycles, ATVs, family sedans, SUVs, armored vehicles, who knows, helicopters maybe. Um,
Yes.
that it's all stuff that we could see later down the line, but for right now, it's just a matter of giving us like one of everything, and then they can build upon that a lot easier than trying to throw everything in a broken state and slowly make it all work and slowly implement it all. So I really like this method. I really like this way of approaching it, especially coming from the background that they already had with um, Planet Side 2, that they'd already worked on a lot of these systems before. So it's just a matter of kind of transferring that same kind of knowledge over into making a good system for implementation. Like, not even before even putting the items in, getting the system for implementing each of the categories of items in is the main thing. So that way it's just cut and paste to get new items in, rather than a much more in-depth process where everything has to be made from scratch basically.
Right.
So I'm really digging it. You know, good job with the production pipeline. It's hard to compliment a producer, but you guys are doing a good job with things. Hard to compliment them on a technical level, I guess. But you guys have chops. I know. I've been around. I've seen some decent projects, but a lot of bad projects. Sorry. That's just
We know you do nothing but good job anyway.
yeah. Yeah, no, you guys do great stuff. I've personally been in studios and seen some bad stuff. So, you guys have got something really good going on. Enough brown nosing. So
Huh.
one of the other things that he emphasized was buildings, fuel, and maintenance stuff is like really important sorts of things. Another question that was asked was about ammo variation, and I know everybody was asking about that. And initially the answer to that months ago was the game's not meant to be like a gun masturbation game. It's meant to be a survival simulator sort of thing. And yeah, if there's a
Right.
lot of guns and you need to do a little bit to maintain them and work on them here and there, that's fine. But it's you know, then since then the idea that yeah, maybe not at the moment of early access, but after early access, there's definitely going to be ammo variation. Right now, there's just basically one ammo type per weapon, and the flaming arrow we saw was just a trick. That's I don't believe we're actually going to get flaming arrows. So they'll work on that, and I think that's just some carryover from PlanetSide 2 because each weapon you couldn't swap out the ammo in the field. You had to go to a terminal and actually basically switch out the type of weapon by basically re-equipping it. So,
Right.
um,
I
and I
think if
guess
we
what was that?
I was just gonna say, I think if we look at the story of what we're doing, it will make sense that civilization has kind of been pushed back. So we'll build up to things like that. We wouldn't just have everything right from the start.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the idea. There are some areas that are probably less broken down, or potentially that have been evacuated early. So the amount of looting that went on and the amount of looting that's potentially gone on afterward is initially minimal. But I suppose if players start to move in over time, the respawn rate of items in those areas will kind of slow down. But yeah, no, the idea of actually being able to find specialized ammo, I would imagine, people, gun aficionados, they have all sorts of various types of ammo. They use them for different situations, different purposes, um, all sorts of variations. I could see an assault rifle or a civilian single fire type assault rifle with a the underbarrel shotgun using the rounds that are specifically designed to take off doorknobs.
Hmm.
Because the idea is you can get through doors without having to potentially hurt whatever's on the other side. So if what you're trying to do is let a bunch of trapped zombies out, or hold somebody hostage rather than just go through and kill them, um, I don't know if you're actually gonna be able to shoot through doors. If that's the sort of mechanic they're gonna have, though, I'd imagine doors are gonna be kind of sturdy. But
Yeah,
we'll
I'm,
see.
I'm sure that they're going to be kind of sturdy, but there, I would assume there will be a way at some point to do something like that. Whether it's with a high-powered rifle rather than just a regular pistol. I might be able to get through a wooden door or something like that. I'm sure there will be doors that are unbreakable, but if you have the very cheapest door, you should definitely be able to get through that in a different way than just uh, opening the door, obviously. And even if it takes time, if you have to break it down over time, or the durability uh, goes down over time, and then you're able to break it, that just makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, man, that was some interesting noise behind you, by the way.
Yeah, that was a crazy, crazy daughter.
Well, at least she's
In
not
in
trying to
the
eat
other
your
room.
head this time.
Yeah, she's not a zombie this time.
So there's a question: does everything degrade? And the answer was yeah. Weapons, structures, tools. Especially relative to the material you're using an axe on wood is going to be much better than using it on metal bars, for example.
Right.
Um, So I would imagine that, yeah, and then of course there's the repair hammers that'll help too to be able to restore some amount of durability. I have no idea if it's going to be the sort of thing where you get part of the durability back and part of the maximum durability gets reduced, or if it's going to be a full restoration of the durability. But
Hmm.
right now, there's not really a cost of materials to do a repair. I believe there eventually will be. Um, so that'll be a nice mechanic to have. But I'm sure there will be a lot of things that don't degrade. I don't know if a water bottle will ever actually, spring a hole. That'd be interesting if water bottles did. But water already being a container, it actually has to maintain, or has to hold the state of, is it full of water? Is it empty? Is it full of dirty water or clean water? It's so having an extra layer of it having durability on top of that kind of makes things a little bit tricky. I don't
Hmm.
know if that's the level of specificity and that's the level of data management that they actually want to have with the items.
Right.
Um, but I'm sure like a compass probably isn't going to break or anything. It shouldn't.
I wouldn't assume that something like a compass would break. Probably things like he said, things that obviously are being used in combat or being or are out in the open world that are exposed to elements and such are going to have a higher likelihood of having durability loss at any point than something that you keep in your bag or something that you're not using
Yeah,
on a regular basis.
yeah. The solar power calculator was just fine till you left it out for a day. Then it got rained on.
Exactly.
Actually, probably the screen would get melted first. Apparently, there's going to be hot summers in this game.
There you
Um,
go.
so yeah, that was my that was basically kind of the notes from that video. Hey, Chip GM, how's it going, buddy? It's been on the show here in the past. Cool dude. So now let's move on to the live stream.
Get out of here, dude. I don't know. Go.
Come on, mute your mic when you're shooing the little one away.
I don't know how to mute this, Mike.
Oh
This is my
no!
first
Just do
headset.
it in Skype. There should be
Oh
a
yeah.
button for it. All right. So, man, this video there is so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Paul Carrico and Steve George, Sony Shock is in the room here. And by the way, Paul Carrico, feel better. Apparently, yesterday his tooth was killing him, and
Ooh.
Sony Shock laughed at him. Grandpa's old toothache medicine. Anyway,
Nice.
so you can use your vehicle and ram into barbed wire walls and fences, or rather, and eventually you'll break the barbed wire and the fence posts down, so you can get through. Um, Seems like that's probably going to bust up your vehicle. You'd probably want to get out and kind of chop at it. You laughed at him because his appointment was at 2:30. Oh damn! I didn't even see the time in the tweet. I don't remember if you actually mentioned about the time, but that's awesome. Yes, 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 yes. All right, all right. Good stuff. Vice grips and whiskeys. Rude now.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, in the past I've seen and actually done the act of going and busting down a fence rather than trying to drive through it or walk around it in a residential neighborhood. I'm too lazy to walk all the way to the front. Whack, whack, whack. Hey, now there's a new back door. And I think I actually got wood for it too. Some of the wood scraps from it, some of the boards and materials. So,
Oh, nice.
win-win. I get the hell out of there, and I get some supplies.
Yep. True.
Yeah, I guess that's the second sign, the second way of marking an area. The first way to mark an area to let everyone know that you're the first one there is to break a bunch of windows. The second thing, I guess, is to break down the fences and steal all the wood.
There you go. Don't steal too much of it though, or they won't be able to tell that you were there still. You steal all the.
Well, no, if they come to a little crap shack or
Well,
whatever and there's no fences anywhere, it's like, ah, man, someone looted this place. And then,
yeah.
of course, they'll see all the broken glass on the way there.
I like that they were talking about that they were looking into having like a tagging system.
Yes.
What that actually looks really cool too. So you could just put your little moniker on there and tell people that you've been there.
Yeah, yeah, you can spray paint. It's a feature that's in progress right now. You'll be able to choose, I believe, the size, the font, and the color. So
Hmm.
that's pretty awesome. I'm really excited
Sure.
for that. And people have been asking for the, I guess Left for Dead writing, crazy person writing on the wall sort of thing. Yeah, there's a Kremcheck, if you could link the video in
Yeah.
chat there, because I don't want to break the Skype call here. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
That one.
that's
Yeah.
that's gonna be awesome. Seeing all sorts of weird, strange messages people have written all over the world, and I wonder how long it takes before they degrade as well. Because I've seen things that have been spray painted that stay that way for a long time.
Yes, for
So
sure.
I don't know how that's going to work, and if you're going to be able to clean it off, or if I find some concrete and spray it on the ground, like how many things have to walk over it, or how many times it needs to be covered in pools of blood before it finally dissipates or whatever. That'll definitely be interesting because yeah, there's stuff that's tagged that you come back there 10, 15 years later, it's still there. It's only faded a
Right.
little.
Well, that'll be interesting, even if they add some kind of degrading to it, because in most games you'll find that it's either there for a set amount of time, period, like it's uh, the strongest it can ever be, and then it's gone, or it's just there forever. So, are they going to actually have something where it has to be used or something has to happen to it in order to degrade it for it to start to disappear? Or are they just going to have it stay there forever? Or are they just going to have it there for 20 minutes or 20 days and then it's just one day gone?
Yeah, it'll be good to know how they're gonna work that out.
Yeah.
Just reading chat there for a sec. Goofballs. All right. So throughout at least at the beginning of the video, they kept getting charged by wolves, and those wolves were vicious. They were apparently just ignoring the barbed wire and just making a beeline for them. And they were just going straight through the barbed wire, and they just had, early on, they had just a bunch of wolves chewing on their ankles. So,
Hmm.
um, it's kind of a funny sort of thing. I guess they've definitely tuned up the aggro, or maybe it was just a hungry pack on the hunt, and because they're making a bunch of noise because they're over by a structure and we're doing things by it, potentially that drew them over and got their attention.
Right. I think that the wolves actually needed to be um, upgraded or whatever. The intensity of the wolves I think needs to be higher, or at least from the last time I played it, it needed to be higher because I could take on two or three wolves if I was with just an axe if I was good enough to do it. But that's probably not the case in real life. And I know that if you happen upon some wolves, you don't just want to die every time, but you don't just want to easily kill them every single time either, just with an axe, because that's never going to happen. So I think if we increase the intensity on the wolves and the wildlife altogether, that would probably be a good thing.
Well, how difficult do we actually want to make wolves, and how easy to scare off should they be?
Well, I think that I mean they make the bear crazy, so you're basically not going to be able to kill a bear uh, with anything but probably a gun.
It's
So
gonna
I
take
mean,
a
if you
lot to
have,
take down a bear.
yeah, I mean, think about it this way: if you have one bear, it could probably be taken down by a pack of 3 or 4 wolves, and you can't take down a bear. So why should you be able to take down that pack of wolves,
Because
right?
each of them individually takes less bullets. And the reason why the bear gets taken down by those wolves is because it can't get to all of them quickly enough for the amount of damage output they have.
Right. So that's probably the case with people too. I mean, obviously, if you have a high-powered weapon, you could just pick them off. But
Yeah,
if you have an
exactly.
axe,
If you have an axe,
if
no. I could see you being in
yeah,
trouble.
yeah, for sure. And I don't think that they were. I don't think anything was hard enough, and I think that they mentioned that after SOE Live, that it was kind of too easy, except for bears,
Well,
because like
they're still
what
getting a
was
lot
it?
of systems in, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, that's very true. But I think it was like their first internal playthrough. They said like nobody lived past 3 minutes in the game, and then so they like toned that down a lot. And then when we did the playthrough at SOE Live, uh, I think 15 out of 20 people stayed alive the whole 15 minutes, and that was the case for most of the play sessions. So
Yeah, that's true. I
I mean,
mean,
it's got to be hard.
I would say though the early quick death sessions, they also didn't have nearly as many of the systems in place, so you didn't have as many opportunities to survive. Plus, everybody was already in shred your shirt, cut down a tree, and make a bow and arrow mentality. That's
Right.
no more. You can't do that anymore. You have to find that
Right.
axe first. And since you don't start with an axe, I'm sure they made it a bit more powerful than it used to be because
That's
it's
probably true.
not a starting item.
Right.
But yeah, wolves, definitely, I agree. They should be a much bigger deal in the game.
For sure.
It's fine, Sony Shock. If everybody's got a green sword, you can't do anything to anyone. Alright, so, tilled ground. It can take 4 seeds. So, once you've tilled the ground, um, that's great. I'm glad that you're able to plant stuff and have farming and growing things. And they were saying about corn and being able to make fuel out of it. I think they were growing
Mhm.
wheat, and
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, you fools! Don't you realize wheat can also be used to ferment and turn into a fuel source?
Right.
It ain't just corn, buddy. Wheat's been
Mhm.
used to ferment and turn into alcohol for a long time. So, yeah, no, you've got wheat, you've got fuel, you've got moonshine, you've got, um, all sorts of single, I guess not single malt hard alcohols, but single something. Yes, beer,
Yeah.
indeed. I mean, you've got to get barley in there at some point and hops, essentially, to really be able to do the real deal. And then the other thing is, um, the yeast that's used for brewing is actually naturally found on bees and wasps. So we need to,
Right.
basically get like a 50-gallon batch going, and once it cools down from the boil, just throw a beehive in there, and it's good to go. I
There
guess.
you go.
I think.
Just
Um,
laughing. But no.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not sure if that would work. Actually, I should probably check in about that one.
Oh, jeez. Just ask my neighbor on the phone. That is awesome.
What was
Hey, how
that?
much blood? Original just said he just asked his neighbor on the phone if blood sitting there will take off paint. It looks like. and I guess it won't. That's a very interesting thing to ask your neighbor. I bet you he's kind of scared now.
Yay! Awesome, Sody Shock. That's I guess thanks, Greg. If H1Z1, the user H1Z1 is in here, yo. If not, shout out I guess on the YouTube here. Uh, so growing
What would you want
stuff.
alcohol to actually do? He says.
What was that?
This- Frisnick says, "What would you actually want alcohol to do other than for
Well,
roleplay?"
um, low alcohol, like very low, like less than 1%, is high enough alcohol that it can stave off bacteria. So essentially, it's a potable water that'll be able to keep for a while. So that's one purpose. Another purpose, just regular old beer, just for kicking back, getting a little buzz on when you're hanging out with your buddies. Maybe being able to use it as a tradable luxury item. Um, you know, beer. It's beer. Of course, if you've got beer, you can always ferment that down or distill it rather down into hard alcohol and use that for fuel. You can use it for incendiary purposes. There's a lot of stuff you can do with hard alcohol. So, it's a very useful utility, and that entire infrastructure of going from seed in the soil to a Molotov cocktail or the fuel that you're
Hmm.
using to run your opponents over. That's big time. That's a really big part of the game that players are kind of striving to be able to get to be able to build up and achieve to that level, if that's their sort of thing. Otherwise, they might be the sort of person that wants to run into that camp, steal their fuel, grab
Hmm.
parts out of their vehicle, and then go a mile elsewhere and try to sell those parts to somebody else to get their vehicle working or something.
And I've said this before, but alcohol could also be used, and it almost sounds like a joke, and it is kind of silly. But alcohol could be used as a courage buff, which could give you, you know, whatever kind of feature that you would get from a courage buff. So whether you have more HP or less HP, or possibly less HP but more damage because you have more courage or something like that, that might be something that would be kind of funny, but also useful in certain situations if you did have that alcohol.
Actually, as a courage buff, I would see having it around as a disinfectant. That if you get bit, you can, douse
That
it real
too.
quick. Maybe not necessarily bit by a zombie, or maybe bit by a zombie, but bit by a wolf or something, or some other player just decides to bite you because they decided to bite you. You at least got something to start trying to disinfect the area with. So there's a lot of different
Exactly.
reasons for alcohol, and actually to make a proper biofuel, I believe it is a matter of getting animal fat up to like a little over 120 degrees, no more than 140 degrees, and mixing in the ethanol, and that's how you really get your biofuel. So eventually, we're not just going to be out in the field, you know, kill an animal. Oh, hey, I've got animal fat, and then little sparkles come off, and you've done the Jesus trick of turning animal fat into biodiesel in a jerry can automatically somehow. Um, yeah, that's kind of it's definitely gonna be nice when we actually have to build through that process, and it's not just gonna be going straight from animal fat to fuel.
Right.
Player biting
That would.
player. Yes, PBP indeed.
I love that.
Now that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna surround Clegg, make him give us all of his stuff, and then have him have to bite a zombie to defeat it. So, oh
No, just
yeah,
on
go ahead.
uh, just just really quick, kind of off topic, but on kind of what people are talking about in chat, the player versus or player biting player and such. I think it would be cool, and I think that they're not planning on doing it, but possibly in the future, hopefully maybe, if they put uh, like human NPCs in the game, maybe just few and far between, but other survivors that are in there. So that would just adds either someone who can help you, someone who's friendly and can have something or treat your wounds if you don't have anything, or someone that can shoot you in the face, just depending on who that person is and what they've gone through, throughout the game. I think that might add an interesting aspect to the game
Cool.
because they
Yeah.
might come bite you,
Yeah.
but they might help you too.
For sure. For sure. Speaking of things to bite, there is some talk of if you collect wheat and fruit and like some blackberries or something, you get some sugar and you get some salt and I don't know, maybe if you can find some butter or something somewhere, you make yourself some bread and you make yourself some pies, make yourself some good stuff. But you can,
Sounds good.
I would imagine if you've got toxic stuff, you could make poison pie and then trade that to people.
Yeah, but if you're out there eating all this yummy stuff that you are gathering, then you're obviously going to be attracting uh,
Bears.
people and bears and wolves and deer and such, depending on what you're making, and zombies possibly, depending on how rancid it smells.
Yes, Sony shot cows to milk because what is a horde of zombies to a couple of rampaging bulls? Not much. They're pretty dumb, they're pretty slow, they just run right into those horns and it's just and then there's, zombie parts everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. I think large herds of cattle roaming free on the countryside is definitely a lot more likely in the post-apocalypse than a bunch of zombies being able to have a giant pile of quick meals. I'm pretty sure they would do fine out there.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. It would basically be just like fighting, a group of buffalo fighting off a lion. They're
You
just
know,
going to take the weak ones.
they'd be fat locust. There would be just this big giant herd of locusts slowly chewing their way through everything that is within head height, and you know.
Nice. I like that. Trade a poison pie to someone and follow them till they die.
Yes. uh,
So
Cabela's big human hunt. Uh,
watch the trail of vomit until they die.
yes. Yes. Oh, too much. So yes, we see they do a little drive through Pleasant Valley. We get to see Pleasant Valley Police Station. Um, we also get to see it takes multiple body shots with a firearm to take down a zombie. It's not like one of the head or three of the chest. It looks like it took 4 or 5 pistol rounds to actually sink a zombie, and that means. Yeah, it's definitely better to get them when they're not paying as much attention. When they're standing more still, it's easier to pick them off. And then the other thing is when you do have to shoot at a moving target, definitely got to target the head. Very very important there.
Yeah, and I actually I didn't see them shoot anything with a bow, so I know that when we played it at SOE Live, 2 shots to the body with a bow and arrow would kill a zombie. So I'm wondering if that now is more like 4 or 5 shots also, or more. So then that basically makes it so maybe having the bow wouldn't be, so much of an advantage over a gun.
Yeah, well, I think it's still going to be 1 headshot without a helmet, maybe 2 or 3 with a helmet.
Hmm.
Um, I could see arrows having maybe a different effect, like maybe they inhibit stamina and speed
Yeah.
for a zombie. So if you stick them, it'll have a little bit more than just the the damage that it inflicts.
Hmm. Prisnick said it'll be 3 or 4 shots to there, or with an arrow to the body. Once you get good though, you just shoot him in the face every time anyway.
Nice. Takes 4 arrows to the body. All right.
I really, really liked seeing the city, though. I don't know if it was. I think they said that it was actually, or there was some sort of city when we played it
Yeah.
at S5, but they started everyone so far away that we probably wouldn't. Uh,
I think I saw it for a moment at SOE Live, but it was really at the Game 24 demo where I got to hang out with Greg and Tom that I really got to see the detail of it, see how big it is, get to check out some of
yeah,
the structures. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
for sure. H1Z1, Jane, I'm working on it. He's asking if I'm ultimately bearded.
Gotcha.
I'm working on it.
Working on it. Gotta get there before people take you seriously as a streamer.
That's right.
Um,
Take me like 3 years, but I'll get there.
yeah. So, it looked like I think it was when they were driving around there is where they failed to flatten Clegg with the vehicle, and I don't know if that was just a collision issue or if it did some of the damage but not enough to kill him or how that went down, but I was expecting a squashed Clegg. There wasn't a squashed Clegg, and I was kind of
Well,
worried that they wouldn't take him out by the end of the video.
even if it's not a squash Clegg, I mean, a damaged Clegg would be necessary after that. Because if you have a vehicle, you spent so much time getting a vehicle, you got to have an advantage, and not being able to hit people, or that gives you no advantage other than being able to get places fast.
But the thing with Clegg is you have to kill him. You can't, because if you leave him alone on his own, he'll find a way to kill himself, and you can't be just as good as him to wound him, or be not as good as him. Like, he can kill himself. If you can't even kill him, you're not even as good as Clegg at killing Clegg. So you actually have to kill him for it to really count. It's that's just where it's at. You gotta kill him. You know. And they do actually get him by the end of the video. I was really happy about that because
Yeah,
he was screwing around and pointing the bow, and when your mom says don't point the bow at the house, and you point the bow at the house, the next thing that's gonna happen is you get shot. You get
yeah.
shot dead.
I think near the end it was like, boom, and it was like Sony Shot killed Clegg, and it was like he's like, wait. Paul's like, wait, did you kill him? He's like, yeah. He made me a little nervous, so I killed him.
Yeah. He was making people a little nervous there. And people in chat were saying for them to try to kill him, so,
It's funny.
gotta do something. Gotta do it when you gotta do it. So yeah, when they were in they went into the police station, if I remember correctly, they checked out some stuff. They scoured in the some of the stores and some of the zombie loot, and police station was full of scavenge and gear and evidence locker or evidence storage and stuff like that. And, I don't remember how much stuff they actually got out of the place, but it definitely seems like a really good place to gear up. And if you're starting in an area, definitely seems like a good first place to go, assuming it's not ridden with zombies like it usually is in most games, because I don't know. Most zombie games I play, the police station automatically is full of a pile of static zombies that are full of they're wearing body armor, and they're gonna come and club you with guns that might go off if they hit you with them or something, and the ricochet might hit you or something. I don't know. None of them actually got that complex, but we don't really see there aren't a bunch of people in the police station. There aren't anybody in the police station. No zombies, no nothing. It's just them. So it also seems like a good defensible place to be able to hold out and take on a bunch of people, zombies or otherwise. A real fort. Hotspot for weapons, spawns, and lockers, yeah. But that's kind of the trade-off. If you take over the police station and make that your fort, it's no longer going to be a spawn point. People are no longer going to be able to go through there and loot the items that spawn there. So it kind of comes with that trade-off. Do you station up and take it over, or do you leave it open and kick out anybody who gets in there? H1Z1, how's it going? By the way, I should have probably shouted out Frisnick is Paul Carrico, if I'm not mistaken. So welcome, welcome. I should have said that earlier. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting trade-off. Turn it into a base or keep it as a spawn point. And then keep it as a spawn point also hinges on, is somebody else going to try to turn it into a base or not. Trying to kick somebody else out of it as a base is probably going to be a lot harder than to hold it as a base of your own. But hold it as a base of your own, you're not going to be able to use it as an item spawn point. So it kind of creates this weird, like, almost meta economy based on real estate conditions.
There are probably a lot of people coming after you if you make something that high profile as your base also.
Now, I can't remember if that's where they found it, but I would imagine this is where you would be looking for it. If you're trying to find Swizzle, I would imagine you'd be looking in the police station. Swizzle. Alright,
Which
guys.
is Red Bull, remember.
Oh, is Red Bull? It looked like a bag of herbs or something. That's what the graphic looked like to me. I mean, maybe I wasn't looking.
No, Sony Shop made sure to mention that it was only Red Bull.
yes, sure. It's only Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Swizzle. I like that. Swizzle. That's pretty funny. Sony Shop, could you get us a graphic here? Because it gives you wings. Nice. I would love to get a full size, like. Do you guys have concept art for Swizzle? Jane, actually, maybe you could do something for that. Concept art for Swizzle. Swizzle, my nice friend. I hope when you're using Swizzle. Now this is going to be a little touch of EverQuest 1 here. If you're using Swizzle and your buddy's using Swizzle, you can understand each other clearly over voice comms, but nobody else can understand you, and you can't understand them.
That would be awesome.
I would love to have Swizzle be something that, like, it just inhibits your ability to understand what's going on. That would be so awesome. A gun goes off and it sounds like a squeaky duck toy or something. A car is driving by and it sounds like, I don't know. Swizzle sounds like some dangerous stuff. I wouldn't try that stuff in real life. Oh, no. If that's the video game characters, that sounds dirty. That sounds like something college kids regret, like, doing years later or something. And then there was some statement about a speed increase while having consumed Swizzle. So, interesting. So,
I don't know, Sony Shock.
Some sort of ephedra derivative or something.
I've never gotten something at a vitamin shop and had that kind of reaction.
Pixel sticks? You mean pixie sticks? Swizzle. That's the sort of thing, like, yeah, we're gonna have alcohol. Now I wonder if that's gonna be the combination is if you have some Swizzle and some moonshine, if your character just, like, goes into full on, like, level 3 Cornholio mode or something. You're just like just this unstoppable force. Like, you can control your character slightly, but any action you take makes them go even more uncontrollable and unpredictable, and, like, you just eventually just let go of the controls because your character is just going nuts. That could be an interesting thing. Clegg!
You're all hanging out, huh?
The Hunter's heat map? I didn't get to check out the Hunter's heat map yet, unfortunately. Was that in the video, or was that where was
I think
that?
it's a different.
Or is that just Clegg being a troll?
I think Hunter's a person.
Oh, oh, right, right. Clegg, get us some details. Throw a link down.
Yes, yes.
Just Smed's character will go in Cornholia mode. Indeed. Do not give that man a torch. Oh, he's a dev and he tweeted it. Oh, that's awesome. Let's find that tweet.
Sony Shock laying down the law. Go make more swizzle. Go make more swizzle.
More swizzle. Watch, Clegg is going to be the he's going to be the guy that really gets after the swizzle. It's going to be really funny. It's going to be because he's already got the first step. He's already got Clegg sandwiches, so he's already got the restaurant. Now he just needs a bunch of broke ass college kid survivors that can be selling that swizzle out the back and making him a little bit of extra money or whatever on the side. I'm sure Clegg's gonna have it locked down. He's gonna be a tycoon in H1Z1. You watch out for that guy. Anyway, swizzle. Who came up for the name with that? Seriously, Sony Shock. Who came up with it? I'd love to know. Also, I think maybe the Ravens were having a bit of swizzle themselves. They kind of, or maybe the opposite of swizzle, because they were flying kind of slow. I was watching them fly. First, awesome, very cool, Paul. Good one. I like it. Yeah, no, those. Did you notice that too? Did it seem like the Ravens were kind of going a little slow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, the Ravens were definitely going.
I don't mean
slow.
the football team. I'm talking about in game. The one's flying.
No, actually, they were very good now. No, yeah, yeah, they look pretty slow, and you would expect them to like swoop around and cause more havoc, and especially when there's like 30 of them in the air. But they seemed like they were very easily targetable.
Yeah, instead they're just flying. Hey guys, I'm a big old target. Sony Shock, shoot me down with a shotgun. Which he did. Give them swizzle, they'll be fine. Yeah, pretty much. To be fair, I think it's red ants that they would actually need to eat to start hallucinating. I can't remember if that's crows or ravens. Definitely one or the other. If they eat red ants, they just start to trip out. It's the funniest thing. Don't ask me why I know that.
Aren't crows and ravens basically the same thing? Except ravens are larger and they live on the East Coast, whereas crows are smaller and live on the West Coast.
I'm not an ornithologist, actually. Even though I've played with ornithology software, it was specifically for writing my name in sound and drawing it out. It was not for the study of ornithology. Not really my strong point. I'm sure someone it is, but not me. Alright, so we saw some... What was that?
Pre-alpha. Everyone make sure to realize it's pre-alpha. This is what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
It'll change.
That's true. What, that I know ornithology? Oh, okay.
Or swizzle.
A swizzle, yes. Yes, so we saw some of the different crafting materials being used. We saw some metal brackets, we saw some wood planks, some nails, some metal sheets, and I think some other things. And it seems like those are a majority of the things that we're going to need to not necessarily build a house, but to be able to build a defensible shed, up on the posts. So that'll be really, really cool. They talked about needing a foundation to actually build more long-term houses and structures. Much tougher, bigger things that are harder to break down, etc. but you're going to need a foundation. You're going to need a, actually build up a foundation. They took out the ground tamping system. They didn't remove the ability to do it. It's just that it was a very difficult thing because it was a very specific sort of area you had to be to actually tamp the ground down to be able to use it. So they got rid of that mechanic. Instead, everything is just up on legs, up on stilts, kind of, to make sure it can kind of fit snugly with the terrain of the ground, and water would be able to flow below it. And, apparently, Jimmy built his house underneath their shack somehow, and I don't know, his hobbit hole or something. That guy just comes up with the weirdest stuff on those streams. He was pretending to be Jack Bauer from 24 on one of them. That guy is just a ridiculous goofball. He's hilarious.
He is. I think it'd be cool talking about building and survivability and such. If you know how you put your house up on those beams, on the stilts, but then you have stairs that go up to your house. So that is obviously counterintuitive when it comes to actually trying to survive. So at some point, will they have ladders that you have to get up with the ladder, or can you build a retractable ladder into your system so that not everybody can just get up at their whim? They'll actually have to be prepared to get up into your housing, or into your house or your structure.
Yeah, I mean, there's potentially going to be a lot of different ways to be able to get into somebody's stuff, especially if it's an open sort of encampment that you've just got gates on the outside to keep people out. The idea has been, talked about already, of being able to construct a ramp and drive a fast vehicle up over that ramp over the wall, in dramatic fashion. Now, if it's Adam Clegg, I'm imagining it's going to land nose first and explode. If I'm not mistaken, if it's Tom Shank, it will land nose first and stay upright and not break because he's magical. But yeah, that's Clegg has a history of crashing vehicles. A very long and rich history spanning back to early PlanetSide 2 days. So yeah, I like that idea though of various different ways to be able to potentially bypass the stuff people have put down to keep you from getting in. And it actually makes sense why you would have barricades on windows, not just to be able to keep people from shooting in, but also be able to keep them from actually getting into it.
Right. And it would make sense with the system that I was talking about too. If you have a retractable ladder or something to get to your stilted compound, then someone could bring a ladder. You would have to, have a ladder with you, and you could bring a ladder in, or set something up to where you could still get up there. But just not to make it easy, and actually have stairs. Like, there's got to be a point that it's on stilts, other than that water can run underneath it.
We got a heckler in the audience here. Yeah, no, it's definitely something that and I'm sure there's going to be different forms of access, like ones that the entire structure's up on stilts. There's only one staircase that gets you up, and there's a gate that kind of covers the staircase, but you're kind of expecting that you're always going to have someone there. So if someone's trying to get in and you don't want them to get in, you just shoot them in the head.
Right.
So I've got another page of notes here, and then I've got another post-it, so we still have a lot to talk about here. Bike helmets.
Bike helmets.
Bike helmets. We saw bike helmets.
Those are pretty. Yeah, those are actually really cool, and I liked how they just used them to identify each other. You both get the American flag bike helmets, and you're able to identify each other. And I think that actually has that feature is better for identification even than it is for survivability, to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like the survivability. The fact that it looks nice is cool, and the fact that it changes your silhouette and the ability for people to tell who you are from a distance better is definitely nice. But um, I I think there'll probably be a lot of variation on that potentially that we'll see. Not only the aesthetics, but different types of helmets, and they might even have different versatility, different purposes. Everything from a military helmet to, I don't know, a fencing mask that only has like minimal frontal protection, but you're not going to get your face bit off.
Right.
And maybe it has some mitigation of the flash from a flashbang or something. I'm sure it probably would actually. It'd probably help reduce it a bit. Um, Depends if you're staring straight at it or how close. Um, yeah, this is just the first. Of course, we've got standard old hat. We've got a helmet that actually adds attributes. That's all we need. We don't really need any more headgear until later down the road after early access begins. Gonna
Right.
hunt me down just for my bike helmet. Uh, it's probably I'm not probably gonna wear a bike helmet. I actually want to get one of those giant the rainbow clown fro wig things, the big clown wigs. That's what I want to rock. That and a big like giant broad shouldered suit jacket. And the idea is displace the volume a bit, make it look like I'm larger, so it's kind of harder to aim for where the actual vitals are at on me.
Hmm.
Um, and it'll be potentially shooting at the silhouette without actually making contact.
Interesting.
Um, so yeah, I guess that was where I took note of the fact that Jimmy, Chris Roberts, and then Lochner got killed later. Clegg got killed. I can't remember who else got killed in the video. Did I miss anybody? I don't remember. Did either of the team get killed? I
I,
unfortunately
I
kind of hazy on towards the end of the video.
yeah, I think Jimmy killed Paul one time from what I
Jimmy.
remember. He
he
sniped him.
Nice. Chili with beans. There was chili with beans in a can. So now we have some variety of the food types. That's cool. So it isn't just cans of beets like the first time I played. It's like, yep, water bottles and cans of beets. That's what you get to eat. You might be able to grill up a steak, but mostly water bottles and cans of beets. Cans of
Right,
beets.
exactly.
Beets are good for you. Nice and healthy. Beets, beets, beets. Beets starving. You can make a beet salad. It's beets, beets, and more beets.
Exactly.
And a little bit of grass or something. I don't know. Put a little swizzle on it. Um, it seems like there's going to be a lot of small teams and potentially quick ganking opportunities.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, it seems like even two people would be a really formidable team to go against. But like you said, up to four can be supported by vehicles and things like that. So you probably will see a lot of the smaller teams. And I've heard a couple groups say that they're going to run around with teams of like 30 to 50 people, which I think is ridiculous. Because you get one jeep that goes through and just kills half of them before you even notice.
Yeah.
Or if all four people in your team have a jeep, you take out their whole guild in one shot.
Get as far as you can. Bunny ears and slippers, nice. Yes, yes. I'm sure there'll be many aesthetic, though it'd actually be a stamina thing. Like you're more comfortable when you're standing and sitting, but walking and running, you have a higher stamina reduction or something. Um, just a thought.
I hope. I agree with what Sony Shock says that he wants the silly, fun things to be in there. I hope it doesn't get to a point where like what's that game that's like
TF2,
no, it's like Grand Theft Auto, but
Saints Row.
crazy. Yeah, Saints Row. I hope it doesn't get like that, where like everything is crazy all the time. But
Well,
the crazy are definitely
okay, let's consider
fun.
their promotional baseball bat versus SOE's promotional baseball bat. Um, they went a little over the edge with theirs, so I'm not even gonna say what it was. Just look it up if you're really interested. Uh, 'cause it's actually kind of funny. It's a weapon from the game, but anyway. So we got to see the car inventory. This is my first time seeing the car inventory, and it has
Oh
six
yeah.
slots in it. It has the boost slot, which I'm guessing, I guess it put nitrous in it or something. Yeah, Sony, the purple one. That's right. Um, the boost item, the headlights item, which I'm hoping they'll have custom headlights we can put in, like the different graphics and stuff on it. Um, the motor and potentially being able to swap out for a more powerful motor would be really awesome. Being
Hmm.
able to basically upgrade a vehicle. Fuel, that's obvious. Battery, once again, would be something that'd be, I guess, neat to be able to. Oh yeah, hold shift to go fast uses more gas. That's right. Yeah, battery. I guess I don't really know if the battery powers the car, you're good. I don't really know what other kinds of things the battery would be used for, other than taking it out of the car and using it for other things. And then, of course, spark plugs, because some jerk should be able to come along and take your spark plugs for some reason. So you need all six to actually be able to have the vehicle going. There's no hard point for armor plate. There's no windshield wipers to help with the element. And I actually kind of want windshield wipers on cars. I think that'd be neat when you're driving a vehicle. Even though you're in third person, you should be kind of a little bit more obstructed if you don't have windshield wipers. Maybe more of the what's it called, weather effects. PS4 guaranteed within year. Live probably ain't even happening this year.
Nothing is guaranteed.
If we get early access this year, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I'm waiting all year for it.
So I didn't hear it. Did they say that all slots need to be filled for the car to run? So you need headlights
I don't know
for
that
the
you need headlights. You can probably get away without those.
okay. Because you said that everything needs to be filled, so I was just wondering
Yeah,
if they actually
I
said.
might be mistaken there. You probably don't need headlights.
Because that would be annoying. It's like, well, what if I just want to drive it in the dark?
Yeah, exactly. Or it's all sunny and daylight out. I mean, that could be
Right.
something that you and your people do as a security precaution. You can only drive the vehicles out during the day. You got to be back by nighttime, and oh yeah, you don't get headlights. So
Right.
be back by nighttime.
Right. Exactly.
So we don't have to kill you.
Yeah. And if you wreck the car, we shoot you in the face.
So, the Duke Hatcher apparently collects water during the night, and just a little bit, but a
Mhm.
lot when it rains. So I didn't actually realize that it did a little bit of the overnight collection. I guess that makes sense. It's a Duke Hatcher. That's what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Um,
And I hadn't seen it used in this way, but they said you could just put bottles in it, and it'll fill up your bottles really quick too when it's raining. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
well,
good.
that's how it works. Is that you put the bottles in it, and then you come back later, and the bottles are filled.
I thought it
Um,
was just something to where it just caught your water, and then you could fill up from there. You didn't actually have to have bottles.
it'd be nice if it had like a reservoir that you'd be able to have, some amount of
Yeah.
water plus or minus the amount that you're filling up in bottles on top of that. 'Cause it'd be nice after it
Right.
rains to be able to come back. But then again, if you come back after it rains and there's water in there and it's been there for say, a day or two, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes.
Right. Right.
So, not a good thing. I don't know how much mosquitoes can affect everybody, but Yeah, October 51st, exactly.
It's November 20th confirmed. November 20th.
Yeah. All right. So the crafting system, we've seen this before. It breaks down, larger parts into the smaller parts to speed up the crafting process. And I had done that a little bit with making bows and arrows and stuff. But I can see how it's really going to be a big deal, and it's really going to help when you're trying to make big, large infrastructure. When you're trying to build up a big place, it's going to
Hmm.
take it's going to take a lot. Um, it's just a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of materials. You're going to be standing there with a pile of wood at your feet for like, you know, 10 minutes just trying to grab it all back up and put it back in your inventory to make more stuff with
Right.
it, and then put those items out, and then grab up more of the wood that fell out when you turned your logs into planks. And you're going to be standing there for a while. So I mean, it's nice that it at least breaks the stuff down and gets you through the process a lot quicker. I'd love
Right.
to see even more, like I'd been saying in the past, the ability to put down a box and have all of your materials in there, and just being able to do your crafting out of there, so you don't have the overflow just falling out onto the ground.
Right.
John Actic Scotch, my friend. Um, so, um, was there
The one
anything
thing
that
that
go ahead?
sorry, going back to what we were talking about, dew collectors. Nick is saying that the dew collector water is dirty, so you have to boil it. And then Chip says, no, it should be clean. Maybe that's something that should have the durability as well, so it starts out clean, and then the longer that you have it, the more chance that you will get dirty water out of it.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing is if something else comes up and starts licking out of it, like if a wolf comes and gets a drink off of it or something, then you've got wolf slobber in there, which is probably going to make it less clean. So I can definitely see. I could see there being conditions for when it would be dirty water, and hopefully you'd be able to spot it as being dirty water versus clean water instead of just, getting after it and then taking your chances. But there might be
Right.
some amount of taking your chances. If the rain just stopped, it's safe. If it's going to be a little ways out, then might be a little bit of a risk. There might be some visual tells, like if you see little mosquitoes flying around it, you have to, go and, dump the water.
Right. Or at least boil it. Or at least boil it.
Yeah, definitely one or the other.
I mean, I
I
don't
s-
know. If I was out in survival and I saw some mosquitoes in my water, I probably wouldn't just dump it. I would at least do what I could to make it drinkable first,
that's
and see
fair.
if that was possible.
Wolf spit kills bacteria, so besides being gross, it'd be helpful. Okay, Rude, now. Whatever you say, buddy. Whatever you say. Oh,
Rudnell knows a
yeah.
lot of weird things.
Wolf spit, it's an antibacterial. Just rub it on your wound. You'll be fine.
Go kill a wolf.
No, don't kill it. Just, you get it kind of drunk and
And
have it
save.
salivate on your arm for you.
Oh man.
That's getting into some weird survival stuff there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was Tony Shock who killed Clegg. That's right. 'Cause that bow can't be pointing a bow at the people on the live stream, don't you know? So now they like I had said, they didn't take out the ground temper, but you can use it, but they just kind of removed the need for it with the structures that you can build.
Right.
Um, like apparently a bee farm for Sony Shock. Apparently, Friznik said here. All Sony Shock wants to do is be a bee farmer. Brings it up like twice a week. Dude, that would be awesome. Like an industrial bee farm or a like an outdoorsy bee farm. Either way, I think it'd be great. Um,
Yeah.
honey can be fermented, and if it can be fermented, it can get you drunk. Or you can use it for a fuel source.
And that's why we're all playing anyway, to get drunk. That's why we played EQ. That's why we're gonna play H1Z1.
I mean, I'm hoping I'll be able to have something locked to my account to basically a ticker for how long I've been intoxicated in different states. So, and actually I'm hoping there'd be achievements tied to that. Because I think, being able to sustain one solid gameplay hour of being, or, the character being drunk, that'd be awesome. It takes a lot of
Right.
resources, but man, that's, it'd be hilarious.
That's the kind of silly, funny thing that needs to be in there.
And between alcohol and swizzle, they can have really wide, diverse levels of hallucination and intoxication in the game. They can put some really weird stuff in if they wanted to. Running around thinking there's a bunch of pink and purple deer everywhere, and there's actually nothing at all, and you're not even around a bunch of trees. You're somewhere in the middle of a city. It's like, why can't I walk forward? Oh, wait, there's a wall there. Where'd that come from?
That would be very, very fun, but also that would hinder your survival. I would guess.
Well, I think the idea is you surround some random person, point guns at him, and say, hey, drink this, eat this, and smoke this, and we're going to just watch you for a while. Don't worry, it's an experiment. We'll kill anything that gets close to you, we promise.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, Senor Blanco. Special mushrooms. Or non-special mushrooms. I mean, I'm sure there's one that'll probably kill you, but you'll probably have a hell of a time between then and dying. Maybe not a good one. Probably best not to eat random mushrooms, though.
If you have something like, or if you are going to be surrounding somebody and having them eat and drink and smoke things and watching them, there needs to be a spectator mode, like a spectator record, so you can go back and watch what they saw while you were doing this.
That would be pretty funny. Yeah, Real Viking runs his Jeep on mead biodiesel. Good one. Mead? I don't know, mead biodiesel, because it wouldn't really matter if it's mead. You still got to distill it down, and by that point, the fact that it came from honey isn't really going to matter as much. Cow patty mushrooms, yes. Purple mushrooms. Yes, I'm sure mushrooms, I'm sure various herbs will have different effect. There will probably be various different chemicals that will have different effects, whether they're ones that are intended for some form of human consumption, or if you're, surrounded in guns and it's like, hey, drink this Windex. And I don't know what happens when you drink Windex. I haven't looked it up, and I haven't done it myself, and don't plan to do one, and probably won't do the other. So, but I'm sure there will be some weird stuff people will do, making other people intoxicated and then having them do silly things, because people already do that sort of stuff in DayZ and other games. So why not expect it to happen in H1Z1? It's gonna happen. People are gonna do
Yes.
silly stuff. So they talked about repairing infrastructure using the hammer, and right now it doesn't cost any materials. Maybe it'll cost some wood or some metal or some nails and stuff like that. Put Windex on cuts. There you go. They talked about using the shovel to make a dirt mound, and they showed off the dirt mound. It's just a little spot on the ground that you kind of interact with, and you can put items in it, and do whatever you need to there.
It's interesting. Like as storage.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, as a even if I get killed, I can come back and find these items here kind of storage, which is pretty neat.
And that is unless somebody else comes back and finds them first.
Exactly. It's you can leave things off there and access them as you need them, or you can come back and find that somebody else already got your dirt mound. They already took it and they left poop in it, and so it's like, oh great, thanks.
That's the ultimate troll.
Yeah.
I stole your gun and I left some poop.
Yep. And I'm sure people will do that if they give us the opportunity.
I'm
So,
sure I will if they give us the opportunity.
something that they had also talked about was, and I think I mentioned this earlier, locks with codes on them. So you can have a combination lock. Once you've used it once, you can continue getting out of there. AFK making poop item. Awesome.
Yes.
Um. So yeah, once you've done the lock, you can keep getting through it until the lock's been changed. So you need the new code. Otherwise, if you can, figure out the code, if you somehow guess it somehow, I don't know, you can get through. So that's kind of neat. I don't know if we can also break a lock or not. Paul has no poop shame.
There's
Yeah.
nothing, there's nothing wrong with that.
So I kind of like that lock system. I also want to have just a full-on key system and actually having to,
Yeah.
duplicate that key, or there's only two copies of this key. This person's got one, this person's got one. If you want to get in, you got to ask one of them or have somebody who's already in there open it. Your code shouldn't be 12345. Maybe it should be 12345. Actually, maybe five four
How
three
many
two
people
one.
have guessed that?
I mean, you can always go
Are
with
they
one
gonna?
one 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 two.
I mean, are they going to make it? I think that it would be kind of cool if they made it to where you decide how many characters. Like they say, it can be from 2 to 6 characters. So people are going to, try 4312, but really your password is 23. And so if they say 231, it's still not getting in.
I mean, they
That
could
might be fun.
essentially just do that by giving us a 6 digit, and then you just, everything that's not a number is just a zero. Um, I don't know. It could be a nice feature. I could see potentially being able to put on variable complexity locks, depending on how secure you want that part of the facility to be.
Yeah.
Um, we got to see the outhouse apparently just in time. Sony Shock apparently needed it, I guess. So, and they were just able to kind of place that. It had already been constructed. So, catch zombie,
What would
inject poop in cranium, release near enemy, watch people shoot him in the head. Yes. Yes.
Buddy.
That's
What would also
awesome.
be cool though is if like you could booby trap your locked doors. So if something's locked, someone's really gonna want to get in it, and you make it a super easy code. They open the door and a bomb blasts their head off.
Yeah, that could be pretty fun. Um, let's see, we're getting towards the final 10 minutes here. So, man, that was a quick 2 hours.
Yeah, it was.
Uh, my goodness. So, we already talked about the fact that the AI stuff seemed like it was easier to collide with the vehicles. Uh, did horrible things like redirecting highway exits with A-frame blinkers. That's awesome. That's so awesome. We got to see some of the industrial neighborhood area, which is pretty cool. fully functional apartments. You can even get to the roof. You can get into every single room. There's no fake houses. That's the thing that I like. There's no fake
That
houses
is,
in H1Z1. Everything is openable. Everything's interactable. Everything's potentially got loot. Everything's potentially got someone waiting in there with a weapon.
yes.
Kid, that was last. Were you redirecting traffic in Brazil, Sony Shock? Is that what was going on? Because you said it was a week ago, and that's where you were a week ago. So
I thought they didn't have traffic lights there. I thought everything was just chaos.
no, no, no.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Maybe in some of like the real rural country where there isn't really much anybody living, but that's not really where they hold a game convention. So
Yeah. Well, if you see like the Philippines and stuff, and some of their villages, it's all just like crazy.
dude, we've got places like that in America. Let's be real.
That's probably true.
Let's just be real about it. So, one of the cool things, talk of heat stroke, dehydration, things like these. A combination of the right weather effect for long enough and being low enough on resources that it can affect you means you'll be harmed by it. I think that's great. Keep up
Yes.
on your resources. If you gotta drink dirty water and take a little health hit, that's fine. It's better than heat stroke. That's gonna, take you down a lot faster.
Right.
Dehydration. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to run away from those zombies. You're not gonna run away from much. You're gonna get like 10 feet and then start kind of coughing and hacking.
And that's one of those hard choices that we were talking about. It's like, do you take a little health hit now, or do you die in 30 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the one last thing that we got to see in the video that we got to see a lot of that we didn't get to see nearly as much in this level of detail and this much quality and this much volume before was the gunplay. Not that we didn't see gunplay before, because we did see a lot of it, but we didn't see it didn't feel as solid and complete and meaningful as it did this time, especially having the other players around. Definitely made it seem a lot more meaningful. And also, the zombies actually taking more than a couple shots to the body to take them down. Again, more meaningful. The gunplay isn't just, shoot, bang, kill, and it isn't like, wasting many, many, many rounds, not really getting much done with it. I really,
Right.
really like what they've got going with the balance with firearms. It looks like it's gotten a lot better and a lot more balanced.
Yeah, it definitely looks pretty good now. Whereas, yeah, like you said before, it was kind of crazy. But and it looks like actually all of the combat has gotten more balanced. Like they said, it takes a couple shots. Like you're not going to hit something once in the stomach and it's going to kill him. So I think that everything, combat-wise at least, has gotten a lot more balanced. Are you muted again?
Oh yeah, well, like you were saying earlier, though, the idea of wolves being a bigger threat, for example, I definitely agree with that. Like, there's definitely a lot they could do to continue fine tuning the system that they've already got right now. Or, another one is the raven flying really slowly. That's something that's going to be fine tuned, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Making something path around intelligently is a lot easier to kind of understand and predict at a slow pace. Make sure they're working at a slow pace first before you crank their speed up. Sony shock.
All right.
You goofball.
Thanks, I guess.
All right. So,
I wonder one other thing about the wildlife and such is if you get a deer in a like okay, so I've walked on a couple houses back at SOE Live. I walked in a couple houses and there were deer in them. One had like 3 or 4 deer in them, and they basically just ran. And if I got them in a corner, they would either try to run by me or they would sit there and let me shoot them. So if in reality, if you corner a deer, it's going to go nuts on you, and you could die easily. So I wonder if they were going to make something like and make that a little bit more advanced, because deer are not harmless.
Oh no, no,
Uh,
no, not at
they're
all.
not something that are going to hunt you, but if you corner it, it will kill you
Or
if
if
it
you're
can.
aggressive enough. I mean, if you're,
Yep.
I remember seeing a video of somebody who was, they were stalking a beaver. The beaver was just walking along the path doing its own thing. They were kind of walking parallel to it, looking at it with the camera. Beaver eventually had enough and charged the person. Apparently, it killed them. It bit an artery in their leg and they died.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
don't think because it's furry and maybe looks kind of cute when you're looking down at it from above that it's something that isn't harmful. It is, wildlife is harmful. Small creatures are harmful. Uh, you know, Give it enough time, an enthusiastic cat probably could kill you.
Right. Well, yeah, that's kind of where I was going. Like, I hope that they don't make anything harmless. I hope they don't make anything that isn't a threat, because those things are definitely a threat in certain conditions.
I'm still waiting for someone to sneak up on a deer and get double kicked right in the balls. Like that's where we need that. That's where it's at. A deer, any sort of four-legged hoof thing, they've got a hell of a kick. If they kick
Right.
backwards, you're getting launched. Like you've just been kicked by Bruce Lee, basically, or
Right.
worse. That's that's basically what just happened. So you're looking at internal organs being damaged, internal bleeding, bones being fractured. It's bruises and contusions and potentially being knocked unconscious from the force of it and hitting your head on the ground. Yeah, no, they're sneaking up on a deer and hitting it with a hatchet. You should get taken out. Like you should basically get
Oh yeah.
insta-chipped. I think that'd be
That-
hilarious. That'd be pretty realistic. I mean, you don't want to do that sort of thing. You're gonna get kicked.
right. And by the way, Sonia, I've heard John Travolta and Stephen Baldwin, but I've never heard Jake Gyllenhaal. So that's a new one.
Yeah, you were charged by a wild boar the other night, Sony Shock. I saw that. He's playing Cabela's Big Game Hunter. He's, minding his own business. He's trying to line up a shot or something. All of a sudden, and then he's dead. So,
Nice.
all right. So we're going to wrap it up here, and then we're going to move this party to a very awesome place. So, I am your host, coming at you here as I am every week. Legendary Neurotoxin, coming at you every day, multiple times a day. Multiple times a day, every day. I do a lot of broadcasting. So does this guy over here, this Kremchek fella. Kremchek, why don't you pull what you're up to, what you've been doing, what you've been streaming, and we'll wrap it up here.
Yes, I am Kremchek, and I stream, well, I say 56 hours. That's my schedule. However, this week it was more like 70 or 75, and next week it's going to be more like 90 or 100, because I'll have my 30-hour birthday stream. But I do have scheduled 56 hours a week. Some of it's alone, some of it's with my child, and some of it's with my wife, and we have a lot of fun. And we do a lot of MMOs. We do The Sims. Some Soon we'll be doing some indie games, and we do some Xbox One, Madden, and Shadow of Mordor. So we're going to keep doing fun stuff like that. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at Kremcheck21, and we'll have a lot of fun together.
Sounds good. Reverend Kremchek's neighborhood.
That's right.
For some reason, Best Buy thinks he's a reverend. They call him Reverend Kremchek. I don't know if it's some inside joke or something from the person that was filling it out for him the first time, but he is Reverend Kremchek. It is hilarious.
That's,
And on that
yes, I
note,
am.
let's take this party over to our good friend Noodle Cat. She is streaming another SOE game, and she is actually a previous guest here on H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. So I will see you folks over there. I want to see dead feature rates from each and every one of you. It's been a good time here. Good time talking with you, Kremchek. Good time talking with you
Yes.
folks in the audience there. Sony Shock, awesome. Paul, it's great having you in here. I really appreciate it. Whoops, I'm sorry to get
It's not what you did, son.
some ads going on there. Whoops, everybody. But yeah, we're definitely wrapping it up at this point. I saw some Clegg in here earlier. I saw some Greg in here earlier. So awesome. Thank you all. See you all later over on Noodlecat's channel where that silly ad was coming from. And have a good night.
I'm gonna go enjoy the beach.